Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Guy Dawson Show at WCOBM.com, the World Center of Broadcast Media. My name is Guy Dawson. We are broadcasting to you live from the Gene Woods Racing Experience in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, just a stone throw from the Las Vegas Strip, and her name is Patricia Townsend, and she is a body language expert. So I've got to be really careful about how I move my body over the next hour because I'm going to give myself
I'm already watching you, Guy. I've already got my eyes on you.
Welcome to the show, Patricia.
Thanks, Guy. Thanks you for having me. I'm really happy to be here. This is an exciting opportunity. It's always great to see you, and I'm especially excited to get to talk to you about the lessons and what we can learn from body language. There's a whole nother level of communication past just our words and our thoughts. Our bodies send out a lot of information.
And we've just been talking about this off air leading up to the show, and just some of the things that she's already shared with me have been so insightful. And studying people is something that I'm very interested in, and I guess you are too.
Well, and it really makes a huge difference on how we communicate with people and how we can interpret messages. Instead of making assumptions, we get more pieces of information. Now, nothing by itself really means anything. I mean, we hear that thing, oh, they've got their arms crossed, they must be angry or hostile. Well, no, sometimes people are cold.
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes it's comfortable. There are plenty of things, but what we look for are clusters, multiple pieces of information that give us insight past just what's on the surface. And body language is one of those key pieces.
So what got you into this?
Well, I've always been interested in communication. I used to teach oral communication at UNLV back in 2000. I believe it was the year 2000 I started teaching at UNLV. Loved it and found that as I studied communication, what I was drawn to so much were these nuances, the pieces of communication that are past a structured outline and past a prepared presentation, the levels that make a good speaker great. And those things are these nuances like body language. How we communicate rapport, we build rapport and trust. Those type of things are critical if we want people to believe our messages, A, understand them, but B, accept them and retain them.
How do you get trained to be a body language expert? I mean, I guess we all probably to an extent think that we're body language experts because of the interactions that we have with people, and we have our notions about how it works. And how did you get trained in it?
Well, there were many ways, and I want to come back to those stereotypes on body language before we leave, because there are so many of those that are just wrong, that came from television or something else that we've seen, and we just assume that they're true. But I came into body language, again, from studying at UNLV. When I was teaching there, I just found it to be fascinating. But to be certified as a master practitioner, I studied under the world's, and definitely the country's, but I would venture to say the world's leading expert in body language, Janine Driver. She's a New York Times bestselling author, former ATF trainer, 16 years with the ATF, doing these very things, interrogating, digging for truth, looking for deception. And so I trained with her, and in fact, last week I had the opportunity to co-train a group of law enforcement and top professionals in these very techniques. It was wonderful.
And you would already think that cops would be really good at that because they sit and they listen. Yeah. They listen to stories all day. I mean, that's a part of their job, but not necessarily. You're saying they need training too,
right? And so Guy, you think about in law enforcement, and I don't know if you have any experience in this, but most of us know someone in law enforcement, and at least it would be familiar to us to understand that they go through tons of training every year on how to fire their gun. Right? How to holster it, how to have gun safety, how to clean the gun, how to aim the gun, how to shoot, proper positions, all kinds of safety things. Most officers never fire their gun in their entire career, but they go hour after hour after hour, month after month, year after year, focusing on gun safety. But what do they do every single day? They communicate.
Interrogation.
They communicate with people, they interview people, and they're lucky if they get a 4-hour workshop on communication skills of any kind, much less the nuances and intricacies of body language. So there are so much more to learn, but in law enforcement, we focus so much on the safety part, which is obviously critical, but we overlook the communication aspect, which is equally important. So let's talk more about body language and how we can use that in our businesses too, on negotiation. Body language goes past just reading, we were talking about law enforcement, but past looking for criminals. body language is part of our everyday life. And again, if you think about the value of being able to tell when people are being honest with you, it's huge. Is your spouse cheating on you? Are your children using drugs or hanging out with a crowd they maybe shouldn't be? Where were they really till 12:30 when they were supposed to be home at 10? Those type of pieces of what if your elderly parent is in a nursing home? Are they being cared for well? Are they being treated well? Being able to read this is critical. So pairing body language with statement analysis gives you all kinds of power and information to really make good decisions.
Are people skeptical when you tell them that you know how to do this? And do they say, you're lucky, you don't know? How can you know by how I'm moving my body, what I'm doing?
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of people think it's like voodoo science, or that I have some crystal ball and I can see into their souls and minds by looking at their hand gestures. No, that's not how it works at all. Body language is just a piece of information. It's a clue. Once you have multiple clues, I hear the words that you're saying. I see how your body's positioned while you're doing it. I see the gestures you're making. I can do all of this. It's the aggregate of all of these things. I call it a cluster. So no, one individual piece doesn't need, but people challenge me all the time. Oh, really? What am I thinking? Well, I don't know. I am not a magician.
Right,
I am not
a mind reader.
I am not a mind reader. I do not carry a crystal ball.
Scientific. There's an absolute science.
There is neuroscience involved in it, and it's really fascinating. We didn't used to know. A lot of this started anecdotally. About 40 years ago, we started getting more and more information. We could read activity in the mind. We could see how the chemical and electrical charges were going through the brain. But now there's a machine called the fMRI machine, and we have such detailed information that it has given us, opened up doors that we never otherwise have gone through. And it's moving us forward, moving our communication forward, moving our ability to connect with other human beings forward. It's a phenomenal piece of equipment, and the research that it has yielded is just mind-boggling.
So wonderful to have you on. I'm looking forward to having you come back because I know we could talk so much more
yes, we will indeed.
About this. And Patricia Townsend is a body language expert and someone I've known for many years, and I'm just really looking forward to having you come back and
awesome.
To share more about this, and maybe I'll have some of the guest hostesses with me and we can play a little bit of a body language game here in the studio and learn more about one another.
I would love that. That would be excellent, and because it's so fun to be actually in the moment and learn how to read. So we'll absolutely sign me up. I am definitely in, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for stopping by.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll be back in a few minutes with more of the Guy Dawson Show at WCOBM.com.